So we can just talk normal, or sometimes I like to look at the cameras for fun. So, yeah. Hello. Welcome to the Mary Houlihan Show. Today, I am joined by beautiful, genius, amazing person, Angie Gonzales-Torres. Clap, 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 clap. What's up?
What's up? Oh my God, you just reminded me. My team's like, Angela Gonzales-Torres is going to be on the ballot. You have to use Angela. I'm like, only my mom calls me that.
Angela Gonzales-Torres.
They'll be very happy about that one.
Yeah.
I'm so happy to be here. Thanks for inviting me.
Thanks for coming.
Yeah.
So you're running for Congress.
Right.
Where? What neighborhoods?
I know.
Because we got to get them out of bed and tell them to vote for you.
Please. I'm running for California's 34th congressional district, which is the heart of Los Angeles. So our kind of line is Somos el Corazón de Los Angeles. We're downtown LA, Koreatown, East LA, Northeast LA, Highland Park, where I'm from, and then Westlake, Cypress Park, Glassell Park, and then a little bit of Frogtown, actually, which is just close by too. Yeah.
Nice.
The best district. I mean, Chinatown, Little Tokyo.
Yeah.
I'm biased because it's all I know, but it is a really great and beautifully diverse district.
There's an incumbent who has been the congressperson for a bunch of years. Yeah.
So I was so excited to learn you hadn't been too familiarized with him either, because I didn't know who represented me on a congressional level until about 2 years ago. And now I'm running against him, and anything is possible. So we're really challenging him for his seat in Congress because I think if you, like me, have been looking around our community for the past 10 years wondering how things got so bad, I think we need not look any further than the person who's kind of been like absent and unapologetically absent on a federal level. So he's the incumbent in the race. I really learned about him because I found David Kim's campaign. So David Kim ran 3 times for this seat prior, and then actually Kenneth Mejia, who's our current LA City controller, ran before that. So it's a really big honor just to build on the foundation they've set, before.
What we've been hearing on the news nonstop the past couple years, Congress approves this many $1 billion of aid to Israel. What the hell? Why is this happening?
I don't know. That's what I'm trying to figure out too. I was at UCLA in October 2023. I was working for the Vice Chancellor's office, and I was a student put on like academic warning for asking these questions. And so to see our community still continue to push, we're going to our 3rd year of watching this horrific genocide funded by U.S. tax dollars, and we're still demanding answers to that. So I feel like that's one of the number one reasons I'm running, because I started to look at how complicit our current Congress member is in taking funding from particularly AIPAC, the pro-Israel lobby group, is his number one donor. So I just think it's really an effort to silence us too, and to just like try to not pay attention to what's going on. But we are wondering, why there's always money for war. And I think the numbers are horrific. It's actually like my brain can't wrap itself around the fact that we since 1985 have sent $20 billion a year to Israel, a third of which was for military expenses, particularly, but to also provide them universal health care and affordable housing and subsidized grocery stores, and they have free education. And so we're not only wondering why our tax dollars are going toward these weapons of mass destruction and slaughter, but also why we are funding quite literally all of the things we want here, you know, but in Israel. Yeah.
It's so maddening because
I know. I could see a doctor. I would love to see a doctor right now and not have to worry about a big bill.
When people talk about universal health care or any of these things, everyone says, that's so expensive. We could never afford it. But clearly we already are affording it for a whole nother country.
Right. Oh my God. See, even putting it in that term. Yeah. I think for me, I'm just mortified by the consistent stories we hear, and we all know, right? We
Yeah.
all have a story where I was, there when my partner turned down an ambulance after he was in a motorcycle accident because he was worried that bill would, be delivered, that $3,000 bill would be delivered before he even healed, and then I think aside from accidents, we look at systemic, medical issues, like chronic stress, like someone I supported, in fighting against their unlawful eviction, had a stroke and couldn't speak. And so I had to stand with their children, who were their voices. And it's just so sad to see how all of those things really do add up, and they couldn't afford to go see a doctor. And so when we hear all these stories, we know something's wrong. And so regardless of where you stand on, all of these issues, as single issues, I think if we look at it all as one issue, which is that our tax dollars are not being equitably invested in communities and neighborhoods across our cities and our country, I think we can all agree that to make that right, we need to first take care of people here, and we're the only place in the world that, is as developed as this country that doesn't provide healthcare to every single person, and we can afford to.
I can't believe the incumbent takes money from AIPAC. And like anytime a Congress member is like taking corporate money, you can't trust them to help you because they're gonna help that company or whoever paid them. But
we need to unpack that too.
I can't be too pissed. Well, no, it's good to be pissed, but we should be looking at people like you and some of your peers who are taking small donations and who actually, when we vote you in, we can hold you accountable.
For sure.
If you do a bad job, we can. You won't be like, sorry.
See what I mean? No, this is the craziest part for me, which is it's not just AIPAC being his number one donor, which is when you look at how much money that is. Jimmy Gomez only accepted 1% to 2% last year from small individual donors, people like you and me. That's only about $30,000. And his number one donor being AIPAC poured in $3 million. And this was the only general election that they targeted in the entire country here in the heart of Los Angeles. And his second and third top donors are also the crypto lobby that destabilizes communities like ours, and then also corporate real estate developers. So in that world where, you're going to rely on these mega donors to buy your seat in Congress, maybe in the past that was like acceptable, but now a large amount of voters in America are really questioning corporate money's influence in our politics. And so while Democrats and, current representatives and challengers across the country are rejecting AIPAC money, he's currently fully accepting it.
Right.
The day we launched our campaign, they immediately poured in $80,000.
That's insane.
And that's unacceptable.
Yeah.
And that's who he answers to. And so I'm running because I really think we're hungry for change. I never thought I would run for Congress or be like this politically involved. I wanted to kind of travel more and study anthropology in a PhD program, but now is time. Now is time, right?
Yeah. And that's like exactly who needs to be running. People who
Everyone keeps saying that.
Yeah, because so many people who are in office are people who are career politicians who also like they just have rich weirdo parents who like they went into politics so that their rich weirdo parents could go to their weddings and parties and say,
weird.
Yes, my child is a senator, blah, blah. And it's like, they don't care. None of them care.
I know. That's the thing. They just don't care. And I think unlike the incumbent, I didn't move to this district to become a politician, period, but certainly not one nearly fully funded by corporate super PACs. A corporate-backed Democrat like Jimmy Gomez really gets away with doing the bare minimum because he wants to climb that political ladder. He showed us the day he won his bid for Congress, he opened up a fund for higher office. that's not someone who's going to immerse themselves in the district. Like, you know, I'm 4 generations in Highland Park right now. My grandma still lives there. Our youngest cousin still lives there. And so I understand why people move to the district. I also understand why so many of us are fighting to stay here. You know, it's a great place to live, but we can't continue to buy the scraps that the political establishment are selling us. Yeah.
And it's getting more and more expensive. People are having to move out. It's, you know.
I know, like, how much was your coffee? Where did you go? Oh, Smoke.
Oh, she bought it for me.
Oh.
And I'm not,
I know, mine too,
not going to pay her back. Just kidding.
I'm like, how much is a matcha? I have to Venmo Leah, actually.
But yeah, it's harder for working class people to live in LA. And I mean, your family has been in Highland Park, East LA for generations. And now if your congressperson is taking money from real estate developers, you can't count on them to keep your rent down or to protect you if you're getting bullied by a slumlord or facing eviction unjustly.
Yeah. So many of us love our community so much that we'll show up as a volunteer. And I really believe in mutual aid efforts. And I really believe in protecting our neighbors, especially right now with what's going on with ICE, or I'll name it, they're terrorizing and kidnapping our neighbors. The more I look into, you know, the fact that, again, my opponent has taken past campaign contributions from those that build and operate private prisons and ICE detention centers. And I work in a Project Rebound program that specifically gets people out of prison and into universities. And to see just the political theater around now, you know, weaponizing our immigrant stories and promising peace, you know, after re-election, I'm mortified. And so this is something I thought I could do to bring awareness to who is actually selling out our community and making it really unaffordable here. I know I work 2 jobs like many other Angelenos just to keep a roof over my head. And when you think of what's the alternative, because this is not sustainable. And so I'm really working my ass off. And in addition to, you know, just trying to keep up with the cost of living, to make sure that we let every voters know, you know, there's justice on the ballot right now.
You mentioned ICE is terrorizing Latino residents and other residents, but mostly Latino residents, and people think of LA as a showbiz town, these white celebrities, but LA is a Chicano town.
It's one of the largest immigrant communities in the country. Yeah.
And like so much Chicano history happened here. And like a lot of the reasons we have the rights we have are because of Chicano activists.
Oh my gosh. Here. Thank you for saying that.
Yes.
It's true.
And so that's what you studied, right?
Yes. Yeah. So, and again, it all connects to anti-war sentiments. I was raised in a family that knew what it felt like to have been unfairly drafted for the Vietnam War. And so in 2003, I think was my first protests in opposition to the Iraq invasion. And it was mostly because we, as Chicanos, have really always been on the front lines. So the Chicano moratorium, the Chicano movement born out of East LA, was actually born out of protesting the Vietnam War. And then we were on the front lines in opposition to the Iraq invasion, and everyone knew someone who was in Afghanistan, like in my community, and we lost a lot of people too. And then the real shift for me was when I went to Pasadena City College after high school, and I realized, oh, the moratorium actually was born on the same steps I walked every day in my high school, and I didn't know that. Like, I didn't learn that in high school. I learned that in community college, because fortunately in California, ethnic studies is a requirement. But I learned about like Greek gods and World War II, which is so important too. But that would have been so empowering as a teen to know I was on those steps too. I was able to be part of this process of, you know, I don't know, just being heard and seen. I'm so grateful you asked about that, because I was told by so many professors, what are you going to do with your Chicano studies degree? And then I actually also majored in anthropology. So I call myself a Chicana anthropologist because we've always been politically active. We just didn't call anything political. We were just at protests. You know, my mom chained herself to a tree to save the Chinatown Park, where now it's the LA Historic State Park. And then now I'm protesting, you know, the gondola there. Like, it's been generational, and we didn't call it political, but we just called it like our role as Chicanos, like to stand up for our history here and the potential that we have in lending our voices to those who have also been historically silenced and just continuously ignored. And so that's why you see a lot of Chicanos and even Mexican flags and keffiyehs in the same protest right now, because what's happening in Palestine has also happened to our community, you know?
Yeah.
And I love that you asked that question because I'm like, someone who was just here too called me Hispanic. I never identified with that. I really also don't identify with Latinx. I really feel a strong connection to my Chicano identity because it's so particular to Los Angeles. So yeah, I really appreciate that.
This is so random.
Yeah.
So I'm from New Jersey, but when I was 17, I moved to San Francisco. Yeah. And I dated a Chicano guy for 4 years, and we would just be at like his family's house all the time. Yeah. And so I weirdly learned a lot of stuff.
Did they identify as Chicano or?
Yes.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
And you know, his parents, they had all like the old photographs with the bouffants.
Yes. Oh my gosh. The zoot suits. Like, we've always been fashionable. And we're everywhere, right? San Francisco.
And the zoot suit riots.
Yes.
Like, it's always been a group of people, to my understanding, that stand up for their rights.
Yeah. Always trying to be visible. So wait, that's so funny. Is he still in San Francisco? I wonder what's up with him.
He's in Oakland.
Do you know?
Now.
Oh, yeah. See, Oakland.
Well, because no one can afford San Francisco anymore.
Yes, I know. I'm laughing because otherwise I'll cry, because I actually would love to live and study in San Francisco too.
Yeah. So we were watching all the VHS tapes of My Family and Blood In, Blood Out.
Oh my gosh. Yes.
Born in East LA.
Yep.
So I know that the border crossed you guys, not the other way around.
Oh, I love that. See, it's so true, because I also really so my dad was deported 10 years ago, and everyone, you know, I move people to tears when I tell that story, but I'm like, I love that I get to have this. I would prefer, you know, it not be such a strain on him to not be able to travel. He would love to see Yosemite. He's so random. Like, he's like, how's the, you know, anyway, he'd ask just about the national parks all the time. But I love that I get to live this multi-country life right now. Like, I go to see my dad in Tijuana all the time, and I do see it's really, again, just everything's so political to me now, where there's all Americans using the healthcare and dental services there, and it's so bizarre to me. Instead, we can fight for that here.
So I went to San Diego a couple months ago because I had some relatives going there, and they said, "Oh, come down, hang out with us." Yeah, and I was like, well, while I'm here, I should go to Mexico for the day, because I've never gotten to say I went to Mexico. So I spent an afternoon in Tijuana.
You went to TJ? Oh my gosh.
And I went to Seacoot. And
yes. Yeah, did you drive in, or you walked?
I walked.
Oh, cool.
And then I got a taxi driver, and I was like, what's like an actually fun thing that like you would go to? And so he took me to Seacoot.
Oh my gosh.
And there was a Beatles cover band playing.
Oh my God, there's always like a cover band everywhere. Oh, I love that. Oh.
And it was very striking how many ads for dental care, plastic surgery.
Oh yeah.
And I was like taking photos of stuff to like, when I get my gum graft, I should plan a trip to Mexico, because it would be so stupid to do it here.
It's so bad.
And that's just a crazy system where so many people go without insurance. We're going to Tijuana or planning these trips to get surgeries, like oral surgery.
It's wild. Yeah. the costs of medical services here in the United States has just risen. So I see more and more. I think more and more people are becoming aware. I know social media is like a tool of oppression for sure, and we should always question technology and especially who owns them,
it,
right?
Yeah.
But I do think that it's a tool for us to learn about these things and then ask questions. I would hope people would start asking questions afterwards. As to why don't we have a single payer healthcare system here, or like why don't we have fully funded safe school campuses here, or why are there like a large percentage of deported veterans
That's
in
crazy.
Tijuana, who teach English, and then many families there actually send their children to San Diego, and they just cross and then live in Tijuana because of the cost of housing. So, why don't we have more conversations around climate change? I think we will be that generation, though, that will be able to look our kids in their eyes and say, we fought for this planet and against like environmental catastrophe so that you guys could have a place to live. And we fought for healthcare for all and of permanent affordable housing. And I just say that because I think a lot of my friends are also considering moving back to Mexico, and some people have already. And that really terrifies me because that's my favorite part of Los Angeles, the people. And we have a rapidly declining Latino population. And that's not to say we don't want it to become more diverse, but we do have to say, is that forced? Is that, because of unethical practices? And I don't know. It'll be interesting to see the development of Tijuana in the next few years for sure.
So when you're elected to Congress, how are you going to help us get single payer?
I mean, certainly by starting in this part, right? The campaigning part, refusing to take any money from corporate PACs that they all work in trying to figure out how to exploit the American people the most. And then, Bernie Sanders uses the word oligarch. Some people use the word elite. I personally don't have healthcare. I rely on community clinics. So I know that that's really important to our immigrant communities here to invest in. But we have to have a conversation on a federal level. When you look at the amount of current Congress members elected and how much money they take from the pharmaceutical companies, it'll be a big push, but it would if we can start that here in the heart of Los Angeles, we can see that in effect across the country. And particularly other Justice Democrats endorsed candidates have already been doing that work.
Private insurance is so crazy expensive. You go to community clinics. I'm an actor. I'm in SAG. I have never in my life made the SAG minimum for healthcare. And a lot of people who work in film and TV, they're out of work way more than they used to be, and a lot of people are losing their insurance. And it's just like a no-brainer that we should have universal health care, that if people lose work, they'll be fine, and that God forbid something happens, they don't have a freaking $60,000 bill that they can't pay. And then
medical debt's the number one reason why people lose their housing. And that's so terrifying. There's a group called Chicana Hollywood that really talked about this and the impacts of the industry declining here in Los Angeles. And so a lot of them work as Uber drivers on the side, and everyone has a side gig, right? And that's unsustainable for sure. And especially for other industries that don't provide healthcare, it's my number one issue. Then the older I get too, the more I'm hearing just younger and younger people, professionals in all industries, are getting weird cancers even. And it just it freaks me out. It's getting really close to home too. And that's something that's been very apparent. The more privilege or even financial capacity you have, the more access to health care and health period you have. And so I think that's really unfair. And so we have a number of different priorities when elected to Congress, how we would help Angelenos in particular. There's a lot we can do on a state level, but on a federal level, we can make that decision for, the rest of the country to invest in, again, a single payer healthcare system. So the productivity at work increases if you feel healthier. I think for our kids, I really have been spending a lot of time in elementary and middle schools, talking to students about what even though they can't vote, they will have to live with our choices too. And what their number one issue is, like getting sick and not being able to. So they've probably seen someone older in their family have to succumb to an illness that might have been preventable with the proper care. And that's so freaky that fourth graders are more concerned about, living and the cost of living than like enjoying their life. It really has been a topic of conversation, even just in our, in our youth. So, and I work also with elders who we saw an increase in health conditions after the recent fires, and a lot of them were living off of their Social Security and also like Medi-Cal that just didn't have they weren't able to feel properly taken care of. And so we've lost a few of our residents at the property that I help manage. Also, just side note, like a permanent affordable housing project, which is what I'm trying to model our wraparound services here in LA County on, because that's in Altadena. But we could see federal grants go toward projects like this that could provide mental health services on site, but also lifelong learning workshops and opportunities so that, these properties don't feel like a prison. And it just expands out of it into every part of our society, from youth to elders to these industries. And it's possible to provide everyone the care they need.
Something I'm like so concerned about is like how divided our country is. And like, it's totally the media's fault because like so much of the news is just like playing, like Fox News. They know that everyone who watches is a Republican and they're going to give them the news that they want. And there's liberal channels that do the same thing. And like, something I'm trying to do with this show is like, I don't want it to be like, I'm a lefty host and everyone who watches agrees and high fives about how smart they are. Like, I really want to like educate people that like, I don't care if you voted for Trump before. I don't think you're a bad person. We can afford universal health care. That's not like a liberal woke thing. Like, it's something that you are already paying for and you should be getting
exactly.
It. And like,
that's like bare minimum right now.
And I think a lot of people who are non-political or they lean right, they see all of these problems and they jump to I want to pay less taxes. I don't want to pay any taxes. Why am I paying taxes at all? And like, not that taxes aren't high, but like, to me, it seems more like you're paying taxes, you should be getting something back is more what we should be saying. Like, we should be getting out of foreign wars and we should get fucking health care. Jesus Christ, what are we talking about?
No, it's so wild. I, as a candidate for Congress, actually was very shocked by the amount of call time we have to do. So when you're not taking corporate PAC money and choosing to sell your community out, you do rely on small donors, grassroots campaigns like myself have to do some calls, and we need a just campaign finance system on the side. But my favorite part is actually when someone does answer and just is honest. So someone who left California, but of course was on one of our lists, he left because taxes were so high. And so I called him and he identified and said, you know what, I am a Trumper in Idaho and I left California because of the taxes. And I just said, oh, what is that like? Because I also I'm an anthropologist first too. I don't understand, and so he's but I want to,
exactly.
And so he
and
said,
that's the thing, like, you should be trying to understand, because everyone sees the same problems.
Yeah.
They're just arriving at different conclusions
It
about
was
what
so
to do with
true.
it.
And he said, oh, usually people hang up on me, or people
Exactly.
just actually other candidates that he appears on the list, I guess, too. And that's so embarrassing that we have to do this. But I think when we had a conversation, we saw he made a donation to the campaign, because even though he identified as such, and I certainly did not, you know, hide how I feel about, where our taxes are going, which is to war and all this chaos and just cruelty. If you don't want to like use the military industrial complex as a reason, like it's just not being invested here. And so we actually found that we want the same thing.
Right.
You know, he said he's mortified by the images of, you know, children pleading for death in Palestine because that is what they feel is the only way out of their reality of being under constant bombardment. And I said, yeah, we all do deserve to rest in peace eventually, but we also deserve to live in it too. And I think those children deserve us doing what we can. And there's so much that we can do in Congress, like rejoining the UN and things like that afterwards, to become more anti-war as a Congress. But I think for now, right in this moment politically, we have to find common ground as people. He was one that was an interesting conversation. And then an independent in Vermont, he was like, I haven't donated to a Democrat in 24 years. Everything, you know, is wrong with that party. And I said, I'm not asking people to rejoin the party or to, you know, be part of it as it is. I'm asking them to join me in taking control of the wheel. Like I said before, like actually fighting for the working people that this party used to stand up to or stand up for and stand up to corporations for, you know, and he ended up donating too. And so we really are doing what we can to have those conversations, even at work. You know, I think the students I work for, some of which have been incarcerated for longer than I've even been alive. And so it is hard for them sometimes to believe in reforming a system that completely, you know, like treated them like nothing. I don't know what else to say. Like it just like completely tried to erase them and separated them from their families. And then I'm committed to those conversations too. And so some of them, like a student came out 90 days out of prison, was in there longer than I've even been alive. And we enrolled him and he's ready to go. Like sometimes some students there's hesitancy even in the education system, but he was ready to go and is killing it now. But he said, hey, Angie, have you ever heard of AIPAC? And I was like, I don't know. Where's that going? Where's this going? Because I try to keep things kind of separate when I can at work. And he said that inside they were having conversations about this genocide in Gaza. And he used that word. And he said they started to turn off the news, they being probably like, you know, the administration or facilitators in prison were deciding maybe those news channels would not be good. Whoa. So he said they started turning off those news stations. And then that made them want to ask questions even more, like, well, what's going on? And he said, I don't think that's right. And he started going into the conversations that they were having inside. And so I think those conversations are happening in all corners of our society right now. And we're trying to figure out how I hope to work together, because I know there's internal conflict sometimes too. And but this opposite, or like this Trump administration, our opposition and our oppressors, really, they can put aside all of their differences to achieve their one goal. It seems to just remain in and abuse positions of control. And so I think we have to do what we can to come together and figure out our goal, which should be not to be controlled, and do what we can, you know?
Yeah, I feel like the goal for the next forever is for everyone to fight against the rich people who own everything.
Yeah. I know, even like I was revisiting Fighting Oligarchy by Bernie Sanders, and it's for men that own the whole like meat industry, you know. I do the vegan thing, but I was even like researching them, and I said, why do they also own stock in BlackRock? And like, why are there just like a handful of people that own everything? Yeah, it's really scary. But I feel more hope now than ever that we are asking the right questions. And the fact that I'm running for Congress alone, I think really is shaking things up, because I didn't know who represented me again until 2 years ago. And now, like, everyone I know, knows that this person has chosen to unfortunately sell us out, and particularly to a unregistered foreign lobbying group, which doesn't make sense to me. And I think it'll take some time, but even like we met with a group of UCLA students yesterday, and they were talking about how all of the DEI programs are also being cut, and the UC Regents are just holding their ground in investing in all these like weapons manufacturing companies. And the students are not like giving up, even though they're graduating. They're like ready to pass the baton on to the next cohort.
So what are some other parts of your platform?
I really care about youth empowerment. Again, I can't imagine what it's like to be in grade school right now, where things probably feel really dark for them. I talked to a number of parents too, and bullying is increasing. And I think, oh my God, well, we have the biggest bully in the highest office of this country, so I really feel for our young people right now. And so we are basing some of our programs that we would like to invest in off of the City Pathways program that I helped build with the LA Mayor's office. And there's a lot of criticism around the mayor's office right now, and rightfully so. We should be holding, like you were saying in the beginning, holding each other accountable. But that is one thing that I was really proud to help build, because what we did was we looked at, guaranteed basic income pilots. So ways in which the city in that instance invested $1,000 to a group of people who have been having such a hard time reaching their basic needs and like bills monthly. $1,000 changed so many families' lives. In fact, only $400 was ever really used, and then they would help other families and neighbors with the rest of their stipend or check. And we looked at some of the other ways we can invest in communities. And this youth program came up because a number of working families had their after school programs cut. And so we looked at the impact on children. And so the kids were responsible for helping each other do their homework and not fall behind on like their readings in school. And so we were thinking, is there an equitable, ethical way that we can compensate some of these students that are like somewhere at like 10 to 15 that are helping their younger siblings do their homework? They're already doing the work. And we interviewed a bunch of the families in the beginning. They were so stressed and so just down. Like they felt like having their after school programs cut really made it harder for them. And then we interviewed them after the pilot program of compensating these kids for helping younger people in their community and in their household. And there was such a big shift. Like it helped the morale, like the energy in the household.
It builds self-esteem.
Oh, it was so cool. Yeah. And then the kids were like investing in what they wanted, but also like helping their family, which was wild to see. That was their number one thing. They wanted to just help their mom. And it went a long way. So that was a program that we thought was really cool. And then we've done one on a community college level. Again, $400 goes a long way for students who typically would drop out or like miss class because they had to work, because housing instability is the number one barrier to completing school. So there's so many different ways is what I'm saying. Yeah, I'm really excited.
And like again, that's like another thing where there's so much like misinformation fed to like people who lean conservative of like, oh well, you can't give handouts to anybody, but the people at the top hoard their wealth. They just add it to a pile. Poor working people, you give them $1,000, they'll actually spend it in their neighborhood. Like it, I don't know exactly what the numbers are, but for every $1 they spend, it brings back this many dollars to our economy. So anyone who tells you handouts are bad, they want you to stay poor.
I mean, again, Israel residents there literally get paid just for reproducing, like per child, you know, and largely those are U.S. tax dollars.
Wouldn't that be nice if we had that money? Wouldn't that be nice?
I would have a kid right now. I mean, I actually would love to start a family, and I really feel for people who can't even fathom, you know, my sisters can't think about moving out of my mom's house. Everything's so expensive. And so I feel a responsibility where my rent controlled apartment feels like luck. You know, that's not fair. That should be for everyone at minimum. And then the dream of owning a house one day is kind of just fleeting and just further and further. But I feel like my best friend just gave birth, and it's about $2,000 for childcare per month, you know. Wow. So we have to start thinking about, ways that we can support families. And it's possible because we're doing that elsewhere. And I would love to see people want to stay in Los Angeles and want to start a family and feel like they can thrive here, not just fight to survive, you know.
Yeah. Anything else we missed that you want to get in there?
No, I think that's pretty much it. I feel very strongly about speaking up about the Palestinian liberation movement right now because again, on these calls, I'm getting asked, well, what am I going to talk about now that there's a ceasefire? And, you know, that's been violated at least 400 times. Yeah. So I feel, again, like you were pointing out, the media and you know, certain forces in our political environment, are trying to move us along. And there's all these like distractions. And so we just have to stand our ground because I think that is going to be a big escalation under this Trump administration that wants to avoid any accountability, is to continue to invade other places perhaps or move us along. So I'm doing what I can. We are going to continue to talk about it, and we've just witnessed something terrible happen, and it's happening other places. You know, I've paid attention to what's happening in Haiti for a long time, and with regard to environmental activists in Mexico and Central America who you know, the U.S. has a hand in all of that. And so we have a responsibility as Americans, I feel right now, to just continue to ask questions and have these conversations. So I'm just trying to invite other people to get informed because I think naturally we get more involved.
Yeah. Well, thanks for coming.
Thank you.
And I hope you win. You will win because anyone who votes for Gomez is a bonehead. Sorry.
No
comment.
I appreciate you so much.
Thank you. Well, donate your money to Angela Gonzales-Torres. Yeah. She doesn't take money from real estate lobbies. She doesn't take money from Israel lobbies. She doesn't take money from crypto lobbies. She will actually help you. She won't just help assholes get rich. So check her out. Donate, vote for her, volunteer, all that stuff.
Yes.
Angela Gonzales-Torres.
Thanks so much.